Hey everybody, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics. Continuing our series on rifle drills, we have the 10, 10, and 10. I did a series not too long ago with handgun drills, specifically drills I like to shoot on red dot handguns. This drill was in that, covered it. But this is it is kind of a handgun-centric drill, but I like to use it for rifles, even though it is a closer distance drill. When I think about likelihood of distances, it's fun to shoot at 100 yards, it's fun to shoot at 150, it's fun to shoot at 200 with a rifle. But for the majority of shooters outside of military, even law enforcement, to a degree, you're more likely to use your rifle at those closer distances, even though you can't depend on that, which is why you need to train for all reasonable distances. But for strictly self-defense, you're thinking about like a home defense situation, perimeter defense type situation, closer distances are going to be a thing. So close-in drills are just as important as the ones where you're shooting steel out to 100, 150, 200. And I do plan on doing some longer distance drills that I like to shoot in the future. But this will probably be the last video in this series, and then eventually in the near future I'll pick up and do another series on drills for intermediate and further distances that I like. This one's pretty straightforward. It's been around for a long time. No one really knows exactly where it came from, but it is usually attributed to Ken Hackathorn. And like I said, it is a handgun-centric drill. The idea is to start from a ready or a low ready position and fire 10 rounds in 10 seconds, 10-second par time, on a B28 target, or I'm sorry, a B8 target. And we're going for, depending on whose scoring system you use, in the black or 10 ring / X ring. Some people say X ring only, some people say 10 ring, some people say just in the black. So you can kind of determine grading in that degree. I tend to use the 10 ring for this, for the rifle. I've been shooting this for a very long time. I'm really comfortable with it on an RDS. I haven't shot it as much on magnified optics. When I say as much, I've shot it quite a bit, just not nearly as many years of shooting it as I have on just a traditional red dot or even an ACOG. ACOG is actually a little bit more complicated. There was a time in my life where I had to use an ACOG, and that's when I was shooting this drill a lot, and I got pretty comfortable using the TA31 on that. But I'm using my Sons of Liberty 13.7, using the Vortex 1-10. That's what I'm using for this drill. You have 10 seconds starting from a low ready, and that's where I generally get my baseline from. That's 10 seconds coming from a low ready position. And even though it's very hard to predict exactly how much time you have once that beep goes off, I'll use my shot timer and I'll set a par time on it, and I'll get into a low ready position, the low ready position I use, because low ready is a very ambiguous definition. It means different things to different people based on different schools of thought. For me, low ready means I can see the target stand from the base to the top, which means I can see a person from feet to head. That's my low ready. So I start from my low ready position. Your low ready may be something different and may have extra words or other stuff involved. You may do things just a little bit differently, and that's okay, because low ready doesn't have an agreed upon definition across the board. I've got 10 seconds after the beep to fire 10 rounds, trying to get them all at least in the 10 ring, ideally in the X ring. When I maximize my time, example here, I get comfortable with the behavior of the rifle. I get comfortable with if I've got my support hand grip set, and I really get an idea of how the recoil is behaving. Even though it's only 10 yards, that is a relatively small point of aim. I'm running my magnified optic, but I'm running it on the 1 power setting. And I get a feel for how well everything is coming together when I come from that low ready. And I only got one chance really to seat into the rifle, get my cheek weld or my chin weld just right, seat the rifle really good against the shoulder, get my support hand grip doing what it's supposed to be doing, not over torquing the gun, and fire my 10 rounds. I shot that in a very pedestrian, very relaxed 7.11, and I'm pretty overall happy with the score. I actually shot a perfect 100 before I started filming, but we're not going to talk about that because, well, it's not on video. And I wanted to show you guys my group performances for the purpose of this video. Now, once I kind of got a baseline established, I'll throw some other different positions at it. I may try to shoot it from a low ready again. And again, this is 10 rounds per run, so it can be an ammo-intensive drill. But I'll go ahead and throw another 10 rounds in the gun, and I'll shoot it again and see if I can get it faster. I'm still trying for that perfect score, but I'm going to try to get that perfect score a little bit quicker from whatever my starting position happens to be. Now this time I was able to pull off a 4.28, which I'm pretty happy with, even though the score could have been better. But I want to push myself even further than that. So what I'm going to do, you know, the next time is I'm going to drive myself to shoot every time I think I'm about to have an acceptable sight picture during the recoil behavior as that muzzle rises and it starts to come back in. Because at 10 yards on this target, recoil is not caught, depending on your muzzle device, recoil is not causing my crosshairs or my lit reticle in the middle of my 1 to 10 to drift completely out of the black. It's going up towards the top. Even though I am holding over a little bit, it's going up towards the top of the target, but during the cycle, it's coming right back down into the black. So I'm not having to drive the rifle consciously to reset my point of aim. It's kind of resetting naturally during recoil. But I want to break that shot right as that reticle comes into the first acceptable place where I'd be okay with the hit, because there's a delay between what I see and when I say pull the trigger. So as I see that reticle come back down and it gets dead center of that X-ring and I say go bullet go, if I've got a little bit too much torque in my support hand or my muzzle device is pushing my muzzle below my point of aim and it's going to bounce back up, that signal may reach my trigger finger as the reticle passes below the target, and that's how I start to shoot lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. This is a common phenomenon we have in shooting because of that delay when the signal gets sent and when it actually arrives to press the trigger. So I'll run it again, push it as hard as I can. That time I pulled off a 3.49 with a pretty good score. Very happy with that. After that, I may throw some different positions at it. You don't always have to start in the low ready. I like to throw a high ready at it. And what I generally find with high ready is there's less things that can go wrong in the preparation. I'm almost completely married to the rifle at that point. All I have to do is rise up and finish off my cheek weld. I don't have to worry about any final seating because that's already taken place. And I'm able to bang out consistently faster times, one, because there's just less distance for the rifle to travel, and two, there's less things that I have to do. Most things are already accomplished. All I really have to do is finalize point of aim, cheek weld, chin weld, and sweep the safety, bang out 10 rounds. But I want to push myself a little bit more beyond that. I generally run this from, you know, if I've got the ammo for it, I'll do it one time from every common rifle position I would use. So I might do a high port, muzzle up, whatever you want to call it, which I don't really consider to be necessarily a ready position. I generally kind of think of it more of as a movement position, because if I have a reasonable expectation of needing to shoot, especially if I'm not in a team-based environment, that's probably not a position I'm going to use unless the environment forces me to. Like maybe down for some reason isn't a safe direction to point my gun, I'm going to go ahead and point it up. But I still consider that a movement or a safety position, so not so much a ready position. But unexpected things happen. You should train from shooting from any position you'd keep your rifle in. So I'll go ahead and do a 10, 10, and 10 from that high port or that muzzle up position, that movement position. Now I was able to run my high ready in a 3.44, and again, the par time is 10 seconds, even though that's, again, a par time. You can obviously shoot it faster than that. When I used my high port, I was able to shoot it in 4.24, which is slower. There's just a lot more going on coming in from that muzzle high position, that high port position, muzzle up position, if you will. And that's problematic because there's a different mating that has to take place, and unless you're used to using that position, and if you have to shoot on an indoor range or a public outdoor range, you may not be able to use muzzle up positions in your practice. So if you do have an opportunity to shoot this outside of that range, it may feel alien to you and you may not like it because some people have been indoctrinated to believe that you never point guns up. And I'm like, that's cute, but the real world has something different to say about that. You should always point your muzzle in the safest known direction possible. Sometimes that's up. Sometimes it's, 30 degrees left. Sometimes it's 30 degrees right and down. Sometimes it's directly straight down. Sometimes it's on the horizon. The situation dictates. So outside of that square range environment, it's good to, whenever you can, shoot from those possible muzzle carry positions or muzzle orientation positions. That one, because there's so much more going on, you're mating the gun from a different place. You've got a lot more opportunities to make those small mistakes that add up very quickly when you break that first shot. And this is a good drill just from working ready positions. And you remember I did a video on ready positions, but this is a good drill to really codify a point of accuracy, so almost combining 2 drills. So if you've got the ammunition for it, again, it's 10 rounds per run, but if you've got the ammo for it, you can run high ready, low ready, muzzle up, muzzle down, kneeling, whatever positions you want to run, to see how you're consistently marrying into the gun and being able to deliver the same degree of accuracy you would be able to deliver if you started from a very static, prepared, point of aim position, which is where we're usually going to get our best performance, because we get to set everything up just right before we start going. That's about it for that drill. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. I encourage you guys to check it out. You can jump on Amazon.com and buy a full thing of B8 targets, or you can order them from various other websites. I like Amazon because I got Prime, so they come quick. I'm not getting paid to say that. I'm just helping Bezos buy Mars, or the moon, whatever kind of Bond villain thing he's into. But yeah, you can find B8s a lot of different places. I like Prime because they show up 2-3 days versus waiting however long. But definitely think about incorporating this into your rifle practice. Again, this is probably the last video I do in the rifle series for a while. I got some other stuff I want to take care of, get out to you guys, some things that are actually backed up in the queue that I need to get out there. But I will be picking this series up again, talking about more intermediate and long distance drills that I do like. Until then, I'm Aaron Count with Sage Dynamics. Train accordingly.